Hi, and welcome to Keep It German, the podcast where we dive into all aspects of moving to Germany and living here. From practical guidance to real life stories, we cover everything about migrating to Germany and starting a new life.
Exactly. And in this podcast, we have a very interesting topic that is cultural shocks. So we want to share our experiences and our cultural shocks that we had when we came to the country. So you, as if you're planning to come to Germany, you can get an idea. How can it be? How would it be? And also get some guidance, some useful tips to, integrate better into Germany.
And avoid making the same mistakes as we did.
Exactly. And also, if you already live in Germany and you have had some experiences or cultural shocks, write it in the comments so you can share your experiences and we can also maybe take something from them.
Yeah, and we can learn from each other.
Exactly. So, yes, let's start with the first cultural shock. For me, and for both of us, I think communication is a very important, cultural shock, specifically direct communication of Germans, the way they communicate.
Yes.
What is your experience in this regard?
So, as you said, Germans are very, very direct. And I remember as a child coming to Germany, I was not used to this direct communication. I come from a background of very positive communication, like where we pack even negative things in a very positive way.
Yes.
And we are also like very indirect in saying things that we want. And yes, in Germany, it's like the opposite. So one story I still remember until this day is when I came to school on the first day, the German teacher welcomed me. And the first sentence she said to me is, if you want to survive here, you need to speak German or you need to learn German.
Yes.
And of course, I know that I need to learn German, but I thought it was so rude at this time.
Yes, I mean, it's also, it's a shock, right? That the first sentence that you hear is something like that. I mean, if you are a child that doesn't know the language and is new in the country, it's a very big, shock statement to hear.
Yes, and I took it also in a very negative way because of course, before being direct in my culture is being very rude. So when she said the things in this very direct way, I took it as, wow, she's being very rude to me. So it took some time for me to learn that this is actually not being rude. They just want to be more effective in their way of communicating. They're just say the things as they are.
Exactly. And yes, that's something that you learn with the time, right? You learn to, communicate also in a direct way. And at least me, I'm pretty Germanized in this aspect.
Yes, you are, actually. That's true.
I like to be very direct. So I don't, it's not that it bothers me, but yes, that's a very German aspect.
Yeah, and I even notice it myself too when I go somewhere else. When I was, for example, in Latin America traveling, people thought that I was very rude because I just came. I didn't do any kind of small talk. I just asked what I wanted and that's it.
Yeah.
And sometimes they didn't take it like very positively.
Yes, we're now Germanized.
Yes.
But yes, another cultural shock is about also communication. For me was small talk in Germany.
Yeah.
So Germans are terrible at small talk and also, in my opinion, pretty boring. Like, I don't know, they either don't follow the conversation if you start, or they just repeat the same things, the same topics every single time. So, for example, at work, it is like 100% sure that you are going to hear 1,000 times, oh, the weather today is bad, or oh, it is okay, or it's at least sunny, whatever.
It's the topic number one for Germans, the weather.
And it's such a cliche, but it's so true.
Yes.
Germans are terrible at small talking. So when you are at work or where you are with colleagues, it's very hard to get to know new people because they don't follow up with the conversation. They are really close, really reserved, and they don't know how to ask following questions. And yes, I believe
sometimes
this is a shock.
Yeah, and sometimes you have like this awkward silence in between, and you don't know what to say, or if you wait for the person to say something. Yeah, it can be a bit awkward sometimes.
Yeah, I remember at work at first, I talked to some people that are very timid, and I tried to be like extrovert and to be relaxed with them in order for them to open. But I mean, once they gain some confidence, then they like start talking more. But still, the beginning, like when you start with small talk, is really, really hard.
Yes. You need to be the one that is outgoing and proactive.
Exactly. Yeah. So another cultural shock.
Yes, I think the one that also really, really impacts me still until this day is the hospitality and the customer service.
Of course. Customer service in Germany.
It's your favorite topic, I think.
Yeah, if you could say so, my least favorite topic. Yes, but it's terrible. I mean, that's a really big shock, especially if you come from cultures, I don't know, Portugal, but Mexico, we're like really friendly.
Yes.
We are a really, customer-oriented culture, I would say.
Yes, that's true.
If you're in restaurants or if you are in stores, whatever, you always get treated really well. Like you always get a great service. And that isn't the case in Germany.
What is like your most negative experience with customer service?
Well, I have had every time I go out to eat something, especially in German restaurants, I always have a bad experience. But maybe one of the worst experiences was when my family came to visit me. We went to a really traditional German restaurant because I wanted to show them how how the German food was like truly made.
Yes.
The beer, the wine, whatever. And we came and we waited, I believe, like more or less 30 minutes until the waitress came to us. So 30 minutes we were like just waving at the waitress. She didn't came and she was ignoring us. And we were like about to go. And then she came and we were like deciding who was to pick first, like to speak first and order.
Yeah.
And in these 5 seconds, the waitress said like, "You had a lot of time to think about your food. You should be able to order it now and don't make me wait."
Wow, like, that's really rude.
It's like, bro, you were the one who should be apologizing
for coming
so late.
Yes.
And then you come with this attitude. Like, I was like so pissed. But this is very common.
Yeah,
like,
and your parents must have been thinking like, where
like,
does my son live?
Like, what kind of restaurant did you bring me to?
Yes.
But because in Mexico, it's the other way around, right?
Yeah.
They are always super helpful, super cordial. But yes, Germany has a terrible customer service. Do you have one experience or similar like that?
Yeah, not necessarily with customer service because I just got used to it also, but more with the hospitality of Germans.
Yes.
Like when I was a young kid living in Germany, having my first German friends and they invited me to their homes, they never offered me something to drink, something to eat. And when it was time to eat, they sent me home. What? And I was so shocked because at my home, it was the complete opposite. Like when they came to my house, my mother was already waiting at the door saying, "What do you want to eat?"
Offering.
Yes. So yeah, that was really strange at the beginning, I must
Crazy.
say.
Well, yes. If you are like also Latin American, you know that there's this saying, "Mi casa es tu casa." So we are also like very warm. And yes, this is crazy in Germany that some families or Germans are like super cold super reserved and they don't have the sense of hospitality.
Yes, and they didn't mean it in a bad way. We are still friends until this day.
Yes, she's
and
still
sometimes we talk about this and we laugh together.
Yeah.
And nowadays she's a bit different
You
too.
weren't friend enough at that time. Now you are.
Yeah, I needed to gain a little bit of confidence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, this is a very like common topic from Germans, like common shock. So be prepared for it. German hospitality and also customer service are terrible.
Yeah.
What else? We have also regarding work for the ones that want to work in Germany, the separation between private life and work life.
Yes.
What's been your experience, or what do you mean by that?
Well, Germans really like to separate their work life with their private life. They don't like to combine those both of those lifestyles. So they just go to work to do their work, to do their job, not to find friends or like make their social circle there.
Well, I have another experience, but maybe you can share yours.
Like, I don't know. I'm so used to it right now because that's what I learned, like starting working here in Germany.
That's also your like way of being? Like,
yes, I would say so. Nowadays, I really just go to work to do my job. Like, I'm not the one like that is very social and searching for new friendships. Of course, I have one or two persons that I go to lunch with, but that's it. It doesn't go further than that. Yeah.
No, for me, it depends because I have had companies where I have like co-workers that I'm not friends with, but also other companies where I really get to know the other people and my co-workers, and I don't know, we go to bars and we add each other on Instagram and we hang out after work. Like, we start to develop more like a friendship style of relationship.
Yeah.
But yes, I mean, for me, it depends also where you work. Like, if you're working at a startup, it's not the same as working as in a big German corporate where you're only
That's true.
hanging around with 50 years old people.
Yeah.
So yes, if you are in a startup or in a tech company where the average person is younger, it will be like easier to make new friends at work.
And also more international, no?
Exactly. Also, that also plays a role.
Yeah, if the people are from more international, if they speak English, if there are a lot of expats that only came to Germany for work, of course, then you encounter more people that are open to make friendships at
Exactly.
work.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yes.
Yeah.
And also, well, another shock, not only at work, like it happens also at work, but also outside work, is how you approach or how you communicate to people in a informal or formal way. Like how to differentiate if you are talking to someone in like Sie form in German or a Du form. Like,
so the Sie form is the very formal way, and the Du form is the very informal way. In English, you don't have this problem.
You don't have the differentiation, but in Spanish it will be like usted for Sie, and you is like du. Yes.
Yeah, but here in Germany, it's a big thing. And you really, really need to be careful with this topic because like if you, for example, use the informal way of talking to someone, they can take it as a very disrespectful way.
Yeah, that's something shocking. Like, I have had one experience that shocked me for the rest of my life. When I was 14, I made an exchange in a, high school, and
in a German high school.
In a German high school, and I don't know. In Mexico, I always had the experience with my teachers that they were like super chill. I talked to them as if they were almost my friends, like really normal, really informal, you know. Obviously not with the director or something like that, but with my close teachers, yes, I had a really good way of communicating.
Well, that's impossible here in Germany.
I didn't knew that. So when I was in that German school, I remember that I was with the sports teacher, and I wanted to, I don't know, I wanted to play basketball, I believe, something like that. I wanted to like do a little dynamic game there in class. And when I was speaking to him, I was always telling him do. I remember that he stopped. He turned around and he told me like, "Bitte sitzen Sie," like sit as a.
Please say to me.
To me. And he meant it in a really serious way.
Yes.
So I remember that I was like, I don't know if that was a joke or at the moment, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know if that was a joke or not.
Yeah.
But then I realized that wasn't a joke, and he was like being serious. So yes, that was very important.
Yeah, hierarchy, and especially in school and also like authorities, it's really, really important.
For example, the immigration office. If you're going to any kind of bureaucratic
authority,
or authority, you need to
use the Z form.
Yes,
always.
With the C form.
Yeah.
And not use do, because that may sound irrespectfully.
Yes.
So yes, this is a really important thing to consider. I mean, if you come from countries like Latin America, where there's also this decision, it may not be a problem. But if you come from a English-speaking country, you need to be aware of that.
And also a very important topic, and also cliche that is actually true, is the German punctuality.
Yes.
So you need to be very punctual here in Germany, and there are no excuses. Like you cannot come 5 minutes late or 10 minutes late. I had friendships that were terminated because I came late. So
that's a shock.
Yeah.
To terminate a relationship because you were late.
Yes. They really take it serious. Yeah.
Yes. I understand it now. Like, they really respect the time of other people. So they appreciate if you do the same. But yes, Germans are very punctual. And it may be better if you say in advance, hey, I'm going to be late, I don't know, 10 minutes, 15 minutes or whatever. But make sure to say in advance and really care about the time of other people, because Germans really care.
Yeah. And also, like, even in meetings at work, that's really a no-go. If you need to be at your meeting like 1 minute before the meeting starts. It's at least. Yes. So don't come just 5 minutes and think, oh, that will be okay. No, they will mention it. They will mention it if you come 5 minutes late.
If you come late, you better say like, sorry
for being late. Yeah.
I had this accident, whatever, and say something about it, but apologize.
Yes.
But punctuality is a really important shock, especially also if you come from countries like Mexico, where we say, in 5 minutes I will be there or whatever, and we take 1 hour.
Yes,
that's a really
I imagine that's a big cultural shock here.
Yes, it was for me too. But now I'm very German.
Now
I'm very punctual. And I get angry if people are not punctual with me. I terminate relationships because of that. No, just joking. But well, another cultural shock, and it is
the bureaucracy.
Bureaucracy in Germany, paperwork, everything related with processes, especially in the government, but also in companies, right? It's
everywhere that has to do with papers. And
you need like 1,000 papers, 1,000 signatures, and I mean, sometimes it's even ridiculous. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yes.
Like, what's your biggest cultural shock story?
Yeah, I think like I work with bureaucracy every day. So I see things that are really, really weird. For example, I had a customer once that had an appointment at the immigration office, and she could not enter the immigration office because she had to print out the email where the appointment was confirmed, sign it, and show it at the entrance. Like, that doesn't make any sense. She already had an appointment.
Yes.
And those little things really come up your way. And they're just really unnecessary.
Yeah, it's really unnecessary. I was also watching one video last time about how German government had some processes in their offices. And I don't know, the reporting was like asking some questions, and and the girl was explaining like, okay, and then we're going to receive this document per email. We're going to print it, and then we're going to scan it in order to upload it into our system. And the reporter was like, wait, you're taking a digital document to make it physical, to make it digital again? And she was like, yes, that's the process. And it's like, Germans don't think about bureaucracy this way. They don't, if there's a rule, they just follow the rule.
They just follow the rule. And that's also another topic we can talk about in a different podcast.
But I mean, this is maybe why there's so much German bureaucracy. Because Germans are like that. They are really made to follow rules. Right?
Yes, that's true. So they just don't ask questions.
They
just do what they need to do.
Exactly. So yes, this is a very
and expect a lot of letters too, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, check your mail every day. You will receive
That's also a
lot of letters. At the beginning, I think it's cool because you receive a letter and stuff, but after a time, you don't like to receive letters anymore.
Because they mean something bad.
They mean something bad always.
If you have to pay something or you are... Yes, there's something bad regarding to letters. But yes, that's maybe like a hidden fear that we all immigrants have when we're leaving Germany. That, yes, when you receive a letter, it may be something bad. So you always get scared.
Yes, that's true. And also keep your papers organized.
Exactly.
Very
Don't
important.
throw the letters away.
Never.
Always save them and organize them so you can always reach out. For example, always for, I don't know, Steuererklärungen, how do you say it?
Taxes,
for taxes, for tax incomes, tax payments, for insurance, for when you are, I don't know, when you want to show or send something to your employer, there's always some letters that are necessary that at the beginning you don't know what they are, but then you need them, and then it's good if you have them like organized and
and
stored.
Actually I have a story about a friend that still is dating a German guy, and she was very unorganized with her letters and papers and everything, and when he came to her house, he began to like organize every letter. He made her like little carpets and everything. And that for him was like,
I think I will do that.
For him, this was like a big showing his love to her, like by organizing her papers.
I mean,
Let's
be organized. I think I already got this.
You are very organized.
German thing about organized.
That's true.
But yes, that's a very important cultural shock. So bureaucracy, letters, unnecessary letters sometimes, and unnecessary paperwork. So another thing is about integration and is making friends in Germany. We talk about communication, small talk, and now like all is kind of related to how to make friends.
Yeah, how to build your social circle in Germany. It's not easy.
What has been your biggest cultural shock about
making friends? It's that, like I said, it's not easy. It takes a lot of patience, a lot of time. You need to be very proactive, very outgoing. You need to be the one searching for friendships. There is nobody coming up to you interested in you. You just need to be the one making the effort and searching for it. That's what I learned along the way.
Yes, for me, I don't know. I never had this problem actually.
Because you came as a student also.
Well, yes and no, but also, I don't know, maybe I can talk about my experience at work too. I mean, I believe the biggest problem for people who want to make friendships in Germany, for immigrants, is that they don't know the language good enough.
Yes, that's true.
At least they can speak, yes, but good enough in order to really have a friendship with a German friend. Because what do I mean by that? I mean, imagine yourself trying to communicate with someone who, yes, may speak your language, but you cannot talk to that person regarding, I don't know, important topics or difficult topics, or you cannot, like, this person cannot follow up the speed of your talking, or some words you need to explain extra, some jokes they don't get. So it will be really difficult for you to make a friendship like that. I mean, it is possible. It is possible. But however, I believe that if you want to make a friendship with a German, you really need to level up your German level.
And I think it's not only about the communication, it's also about knowing the cultural differences, because you may say something that you actually mean in a good way, but he will understand it in a very negative way.
There's
jokes also, the humor, of course.
And that's part of learning the language, I believe. How to communicate better, how to understand their jokes, their, I don't know, way of saying things. Also, there are some expressions that are very German that you learn with the pass of time.
Yes, that's true.
So I believe if you enter, if you come to Germany and start to entering this German social cycle, social life, I mean, because there are some people that remain outside social German life when they come to Germany, and that I find it very bad. Like they may say because it's difficult to make German friends, but in my opinion, the difficult part is the language. And once you master the language, it will be much more easier.
A lot of doors will open for you. Yes,
exactly.
And Germany will actually become a different country too.
Yes.
Like once you speak the language, once you get to know all those little things, and also when you get to understand what's actually going on in the country, also from a political side, from when you get the news, when you understand why there may be frustrating people.
And that's like a conversation starting point also, and that's how you get to open conversations, and that's how you get to know more people, and that's the way you make friends at the end of the day. So it is all kind of related, but the central point, and that's also the last cultural shock that we wanted to speak about, is the language. Like, I mean, it's something I believe that is all the way related to all cultural shocks in a way. Like, yes, when you come to Germany, even if you know German from school or from, I don't know, from your homeland, it is really difficult to adapt and really to understand German in a native way. Also because of dialects and all kind of different accents.
Yes, that's
right?
true. Yes, that's also true. I was never exposed to dialects because here in the Frankfurt area we speak a very neutral German, but I heard a lot of people.
Yes, I can tell you from experience. When I was studying at the university, I live in a really small town where some professors really only spoke dialect, and to understand, I don't know, mathematics, engineering in dialect, it was like super complicated. It isn't really like good German. Like, it is really bad German. So it is not my fault or your fault if you don't understand. It's actually their fault that they don't speak correct German. So yes, that was also a very shocking thing for me.
Yes, that's true. The dialects, yes, and even from region to region.
Yes.
Like they have lots of different dialects.
Bavarian.
Oh, the Bavarian. I don't understand it. Still.
How is it called from Schwarzwald?
The Schwäbisch.
Schwäbisch.
The
Hessisch. Hessisch. There is also Hessisch, but it's not that strong.
The Fränkisch.
But yes, there's a lot of dialects in Germany. And I remember when I was also that I spoke about my exchange time as a student. I remember that I went to a region in the near Stuttgart So there I learned to speak dialect actually and not correct German. So when I came to school in Mexico after my exchange, my professors told me like, you cannot speak perfect dialect, but you cannot speak German. And I didn't realize that was the case. But yes, you need to understand the difference between Hochdeutsch and dialects.
German.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yes, those were our shocking cultural shocks. Cultural shocks.
The ones that affected us the most. Of course, there are 1,000 of cultural shocks we could talk about here. But please tell us your cultural shocks in the comments. Maybe we can also learn about some new cultural shock we never knew about before. We never thought about.
It's always like that. We don't have the experience that you have. If you live in Germany, everybody lives a different life. So there's for certain the case that you have lived some other cultural shocks that we did.
Yeah.
So it will be really interesting for you to share with us, and yes, to share your knowledge, your experiences with the other people that want to come to Germany. Well, thank you very much for listening to this episode, and see you next time. Bye bye.
Bye bye.